Seoul, South Korea, September 2024. A young man sits in his modest apartment, the blue light of his laptop screen cutting through the dim room. He's 28, a software developer named Kim Ji-hoon. He's wearing his best button-up shirt, his headphones on, a nervous but hopeful energy about him. On his screen, a Zoom call. The interviewer looks professional, speaks with a clean American accent. A Silicon Valley startup logo floats in the background. Everything checks out. They're offering $180,000 a year. Equity, full remote work. It's the dream job for any developer in Korea. There's just one small technical test to complete. Download this file, the interviewer says, his smile friendly. Run it. Show us your coding environment. Kim clicks download. The file opens. Everything seems perfectly normal. But in that exact moment, something invisible and catastrophic just happened. 17 lines of code hidden deep within that file have just sprung to life. Kim Ji-hoon has no idea. He just opened the digital door, and on the other side of that door waited the architects of what would become the largest theft in human history. Meet the Lazarus Group. They're not a startup. They're state-sponsored hackers, a cyber warfare unit working for the North Korean government, and Kim's computer has just given them a key. Over the next 96 days, that key would be used to steal $1.5 billion. Money that would be stolen, laundered, and funneled directly into funding nuclear missiles. But right now, Kim is smiling at his interviewer, already thinking about the apartment he'll rent, the car he'll buy, how he'll tell his parents. He doesn't know that in exactly 4 months, agents from the FBI will knock on his door asking questions he can't possibly answer. Because the biggest heist in history just started its silent countdown. And Kim was patient zero. Let's back up. Who are these people? Pyongyang, North Korea, 2009. While the rest of the world is staggering from the 2008 financial crisis, North Korea faces a different kind of ruin. Crushing sanctions. No trade. No money. The country is economically isolated, strangled. Kim Jong-il, the leader, makes a cold, strategic decision. If they can't make money legitimately, they will steal it. He creates Bureau 121, a military cyber warfare unit that officially does not exist. Unofficially, it becomes a factory for the most dangerous hackers on the planet. These aren't teenagers in hoodies in a basement. They are military officers, selected from elite schools as early as age 10. They are trained for a decade in advanced mathematics, computer science, and fluent English. By 20, they are operational experts, and they have one mission: steal money. Lots of it. Their first major warning shot comes in 2014. They hack Sony Pictures. They steal confidential emails, leak unreleased films, wreak havoc. The reason? Sony made a comedy about assassinating the current leader, Kim Jong-un. The attack cost Sony over $100 million. The world treated it almost like a scandal, a bizarre prank. But in intelligence agencies from Langley to Fort Meade, a cold realization settled in. North Korea could reach inside American corporations and do whatever they wanted. In 2016, they aimed higher. They hacked the Central Bank of Bangladesh and attempted to steal nearly $1 billion from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. They succeeded in getting 81 million. And how were they caught? A spelling mistake. A transfer request spelled foundation as foundation. A single suspicious bank clerk stopped the rest. $81 million stolen because of flawless hacking and a typo. But Bangladesh was just target practice. By the early 2020s, Lazarus had perfected their masterpiece, the supply chain attack. They stopped hacking companies directly. Instead, they hacked the tools those companies use, the software, the updates, the developers themselves. They infected the well before the thirsty ever took a drink. And in 2024, they were ready to use it on the biggest target imaginable: Dubai, United Arab Emirates. January 2025, Bybit is a titan, one of the world's largest cryptocurrency exchanges. It holds billions in customer funds, Bitcoin, Ethereum, you name it. Its security isn't just good, it's fortress-like. Multi-signature wallets requiring multiple approvals, cold storage vaults that are offline, biometric authentication, the works. There was just one fatal flaw. Security is only as strong as the humans operating it. Somewhere, someone in Bybit's vast organization made a mistake. Maybe they clicked a link. Maybe, like Kim Ji-hoon, they downloaded a file during what they thought was a routine job interview. We may never know the exact entry point, but by January 2025, Lazarus was inside. Not just inside, they were buried deep, watching, learning, studying the transaction flows, the security protocols, the very rhythm of the company. They studied the multi-signature system, the crown jewel of Bybit's defense. To move large sums, several employees had to approve independently. It was designed to stop a single point of failure. But Lazarus developed a weapon that didn't attack the lock. It attacked the eyes of the locksmiths. They created malware that didn't steal passwords or break encryption. It did something far more insidious. It changed reality on the screen. Imagine you're transferring money. You type in the correct destination address, you double check it, it looks perfect. But underneath, the malware has silently swapped it for a different address, one controlled by Lazarus. It's like writing a check to your mother, but invisible ink changes the pay to line to a complete stranger. And by the time the check clears, the money is in another country. Now, scale that deception to $1.5 billion. February 21st, 2025, 2:47 a.m. Dubai time. A Bybit employee gets an automated alert, a routine transfer from cold storage to the active hot wallet. This happens all the time. The employee opens the interface, checks the address, it's correct, checks the amount, correct, verifies the smart contract code, it's clean, they approve. One of those employees is Ben Zhou, the founder and CEO of Bybit. He's not some junior clerk, he's the architect, the man who designed these very protocols. And on his screen, that same routine transfer looks flawless. Every digit, every line of code is exactly as it should be. He adds his signature, the final key in the multi-signature sequence. He has done everything right. He has just authorized the largest theft in human history. Think about that. The CEO himself following his own rules to the letter and still getting played. That's the terrifying genius of this attack. Other employees received the same notifications, verified independently, and approved. The multi-signature security worked exactly as designed. The transaction was greenlit and $1.5 billion vanished. The malware masked it all perfectly. On the signing interfaces, everything was legitimate, but the underlying commands, the raw code of the transaction, had been poisoned. The funds flowed not to Bybit's hot wallet, but to a Lazarus-controlled address, and they didn't move in one giant glaring chunk. The malware automatically split the haul. Within 2 hours, that $1.5 billion was divided into 50 different wallets, each holding about 10,000 Ethereum. Why 50? Why 10,000 each? Because a single $1.5 billion transaction would trigger alarms across the entire crypto ecosystem. But 50 smaller transactions? They blend into the noise of the global financial system, just drops in a raging river. By sunrise in Dubai, the money was scattered across the blockchain, and Lazarus was just getting warmed up. February 21st, 2025, 9 a.m. Dubai time. A Bybit security analyst, probably sipping his morning coffee, notices an anomaly. The cold wallet balance is off, way off. He checks the transaction log, he sees the transfer, he sees all the approvals, including the CEO's. It all looks procedural, but a chill runs down his spine. He checks the destination address. That's when the blood drains from his face. The address doesn't belong to Bybit, it belongs to someone who now holds $1.5 billion of their customers' Ethereum. Panic erupts in silent, efficient waves. Within 15 minutes, the executive team is on an emergency call. Within 30, they're dialing Interpol and the FBI. Within an hour, a terse public announcement. Bybit has experienced a security incident. We are investigating. Customer funds are safe. The last part was a life or death necessity. Bybit would use its reserves to cover the loss, but the truth was undeniable. $1.5 billion had just evaporated into the digital ether. The crypto world exploded with speculation. Inside job, incompetence. But the sharper experts saw the fingerprints, the methodical splitting, the patterns. This wasn't a smash and grab. This was a surgical strike, and it matched the known signature of one group, Lazarus. This wasn't just theft, it was an act of economic warfare. Back in Dubai, Ben Zhou sat alone in his office, lights off, door closed. His hands weren't shaking from fear, but from the immense physical weight of the truth. Every protocol he wrote, every hire he made, every layer of security he championed, it had all led to this moment where he, himself, had signed it all away. His phone buzzed incessantly. Investors, board members, the press. He couldn't answer. He walked into the emergency war room. 30 faces, pale and tense, turned to him. He made a promise that would define the company's future. We will make every customer whole. We cover everything. It was a vow that could bankrupt them, but the alternative, a loss of faith, was instant death. The meeting plunged into crisis management, but Ben carried a solitary weight. His signature had sent $1.5 billion to fund a dictatorship. Meanwhile, in a nondescript building in Pyongyang with no signs, there was likely quiet celebration. February 21st, 2025, noon, Eastern Standard Time, Washington, D.C. In the FBI's cyber division, agents stared at a massive blockchain visualization. It looked like a neon spiderweb, funds splitting and swirling. Can we freeze it? Someone asked. Here's the brutal problem with cryptocurrency. It's decentralized. There's no CEO to call, no wire transfer to reverse. The money, once moved, exists on a public ledger, visible to all, but controlled by whoever holds the keys. The only choke point? Converting it to real, spendable currency. So the FBI began the largest dragnet in cyber history. They called, emailed, and faxed every major exchange on the planet. Here are the wallet addresses. If you see these funds, freeze them. It was a global race against time. Simultaneously, a private intelligence firm named Elliptic entered the fray. They specialized in tracking crypto, and they knew Lazarus's playbook. Their analysts built prediction models. Where would the money go next? The answer came quickly. Decentralized exchanges, cross-chain bridges, and privacy mixers like Tornado Cash tools designed to obfuscate the trail of digital money. The real-time public laundering of $1. 5 billion. Those 50 wallets sprang to life in parallel. One would swap Ethereum for Bitcoin on a decentralized platform. Another would use a bridge to hop from the Ethereum blockchain to Binance's chain. A third would feed funds into Tornado Cash, the cryptocurrency blender, where dirty coins mixed with clean ones. It was a staggering 50-pronged operation happening in the open. And it was working. Within a week, hundreds of millions had been moved through the first layer of laundering. The FBI and partners managed to freeze about 100 million, a paltry 7% of the total. The rest kept moving. And here, the frustration hit a boiling point. A key player in the laundering was an anonymous exchange we'll call X. Bybit and the FBI pleaded with X to block the stolen funds. They provided evidence, addresses, everything. X refused. Their business model was no questions asked, and they were making a fortune in fees from processing Lazarus's transactions. Legally, their hands were clean. Morally, they were a laundromat for a nuclear weapons program. But then, a break. Around March 3rd, an Elliptic analyst spotted an anomaly. One wallet deviated from the sophisticated script. It sent a chunk of funds to a small, regulated exchange in Southeast Asia that required real ID verification. Someone in Lazarus got sloppy. The FBI got the account details, a fake name, but a real IP address from Cambodia. This revealed Lazarus's operational secret. Their hackers often don't work from North Korea. They're stationed across Asia in Cambodia, Thailand, Malaysia, places with better internet and less scrutiny, operating like a deadly remote workforce for Pyongyang. By the time Cambodian authorities raided the address, it was empty. The bird had flown. But the pattern was revealed. The final grinding phase was conversion. Having $1.5 billion in crypto is one thing. Turning it into usable cash for missiles and machinery is another. This is where Lazarus employed money mules, a global network of individuals who would accept crypto, convert it to local currency, and wire it through the traditional banking system, taking a hefty cut. Lazarus was willing to lose 20% or more just to make the money spendable. The ultimate dark truth came from UN reports. An estimated half of North Korea's foreign currency comes from cybercrime like this. That $1.5 billion wasn't just a score. It was a direct deposit into their weapons programs that threaten Seoul, Tokyo, and the West. December 2025. Bybit survived, battered but solvent, having honored its promise to customers. Kim Ji-hoon, the developer, was cleared of any wrongdoing, a victim used as a stepping stone. The FBI made some arrests. Low-level money mules. The hackers in Pyongyang remained and remain untouchable. And the $1.5 billion, the FBI recovered roughly $100 million. The rest, $1.4 billion, is gone. Laundered, converted. It's now part of North Korea's shadow treasury, funding the very projects that keep the world on edge. The malware used in the attack is still out there, in countless variants, waiting on thousands of unsuspecting computers. In 2024 alone, Lazarus stole over $1 billion across dozens of attacks. The Bybit heist was their masterpiece, a terrifying proof of concept. They are not slowing down, they are accelerating. And the most haunting question remains. In a world where what you see on your screen can be a perfect weaponized lie, how do you defend what's yours? For Kim Ji-hoon, for Ben Zhou, and for every one of us living in the crosshairs of this new Cold War, that's the question that doesn't have an answer. Not yet.